Tonight, misery in Missouri. The floodwaters are still rising there and across the Midwest. So is the death toll, and forecasters say it's just the beginning. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, the McCain campaign suspends a staffer for circulating an inflammatory video about Barack Obama. Fallout from the housing slump. Americans aren't flocking to the Sun Belt like they used to. And a shooting star who can outshine the men.
Will she get Parker stuffs it.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. In the Midwest, spring began today with devastating floods that have swallowed up street after street and forced people out of their homes. At least 15 deaths are reported. The president has declared a major disaster in Missouri, where record flood surges are expected tomorrow and Saturday. The government says more than 250 communities in a dozen states are flooded. The area in red is getting the worst of it. That includes Eureka, Missouri, where Hari Srinivasan begins our coverage tonight. And Hari, it looks as if they're preparing for the worst there.
That's right, Katie. They are preparing it. Sometimes preparing means just packing up and leaving. For example, this house and this front yard, as our cameraman pulls out, you're going to start to see that it has become part of the big river because the big river is flowing as swiftly as it is. Now, there is no amount of sandbags that could have saved this house, but they're still trying to save others. The people of Eureka, Missouri are digging in. Sandbag after sandbag, one shovel at a time. It's an effort to fight off the river they know is rising to a record high.
This is our home, you know. These are our friends. This is where we live.
On Main Street, business owners aren't taking any chances, but have no idea what to expect. So you feel ready?
Not really.
Eureka sits on two rivers, the Merrimack and the Big, both of which are still rising thanks to massive rains that have swamped the state. More than 70 counties in Missouri have been declared disaster areas. As a precaution, firefighters and water patrol boats are heading out to warn residents.
We don't do a mandatory at this point. We're just checking for our citizens.
Throughout the low-lying areas of the state, hundreds of homes are underwater. About 600 have been evacuated, and record-level flood surges are expected tomorrow.
Kind of sad. I lost everything I got.
Some roads are still closed. Motorists have been stranded, and both people and pets have been relying on the round-the-clock rescue service. In Jefferson City, all these people could do was wait. Just in the time that we've been here, actually, this water has probably come up another half an inch. The good news for people in states like Arkansas, their rivers have crested. The bad news for people in Missouri, they're going to have to worry until Friday night, Saturday morning, when the rivers here peak. Katie?
Hari Srinivasan. Hari, thank you. Now heading north in the flood zone to Whitewater Township, Ohio, and Cynthia Bowers. And Cynthia, government forecasters predicted today it is going to be a bad spring for flooding.
It is going to be a bad spring. In fact, it's a bad spring already here. I'm standing in two rivers, believe it or not, that typically converge about a half mile that way. This is all because of unheard of rainfall amounts for this time of year. One government expert said it's as if those winds that carry weather west to east, the jet stream, is on steroids.
It was as if dozens of Ohio rivers simply swallowed up the land around them. The Scioto and Pickaway County reached 6 feet above flood stage, isolating homes, cutting off roads, and closing major highways. Across the lower half of the state, levees couldn't hold back rising tides.
This is where the whitewater was.
And residents raced to salvage valuables from flooding homes.
Definitely will bring tears to your eyes when you're watching your house and just praying it don't go.
Hers is just one of more than 250 communities in a dozen states now facing flood conditions. After unusually heavy winter snow and winter rain over a 1,000-mile stretch of the Midwest, forecasters warn this is just the beginning. Experts are predicting major springtime floods in the Ohio and Mississippi River basins, the lower Missouri River Basin, into Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and New England.
Even an average amount of rainfall will have a significant impact on those communities that are already suffering.
Not welcome news for thousands of people who live and work in likely flood zones, like Steve Binkley, who manages a nursery in Miamitown, Ohio.
I hope they're wrong. For our sake, I hope they're wrong.
This extreme potential for flooding is because the ground is already so saturated. It can't hold any more water, so any rainfall or snowmelt has to go somewhere. It's going to run off and quickly swell streams and rivers. Katie?
Cynthia Bowers. Thank you, Cynthia. Now to Campaign 08 and another political shakeup. A low-level aide to John McCain was suspended today for circulating an incendiary video about Barack Obama that's been viewed by tens of thousands of people on the internet. And while the Clinton campaign has remained mum about Obama's relationship with his pastor, Jeremiah Wright, it has given them an opportunity for some behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Here's Dean Reynolds.
For days, the Clinton campaign has been warning convention superdelegates that Barack Obama's relationship with his acid-tongued former minister makes him politically vulnerable. Indeed, Republican operatives have offered a timely sample of what they may have in store for Obama if he's the nominee. A video created by a conservative talk radio producer and running on YouTube is a grab bag of unflattering and unpatriotic suggestions about Obama. Perhaps more troubling, a low-level campaign aide to John McCain has been circulating it. And while he was suspended today, it's one of several episodes in which aides, supporters, or surrogates have crossed a line.
It's going to peel the bark off Barack Hussein Obama
And forced McCain to apologize or take action. And yet it may raise questions about Obama's electability at a time when those superdelegates are making up their minds. It's a tough and unexpected job.
I did not think that we would be here at this point in time a year ago.
Superdelegate Ralph Dawson has to weigh competing factors in making a critical decision. That Obama is leading in states, delegates, and votes so far, but that Clinton has regained some momentum and has been closing the gap with Obama nationally, according to a CBS News poll. There's real concern that having the superdelegates make the final call instead of voters would alienate millions of Democrats in the process. The poll found that if Clinton wins the nomination thanks to the superdelegates, 92% of Obama's supporters would be angry or disappointed, compared to 73% of Clinton's supporters if the reverse happened.
I think all the superdelegates would have preferred that this nomination contest be decided early and decisively in favor of either one of these candidates.
But it hasn't worked out that way for the Democratic Party. In a year when so many signs seem to be pointing toward victory, it shouldn't have been this hard. Katie?
And Dean, how many superdelegates out there are still uncommitted at this point?
333 are remaining uncommitted. Obama has 212. Hillary has 249, and those 333 are uncommitted. But keep in mind, Katie, they can all change their minds, and wouldn't that be fun?
And meanwhile, Dean, you talk to the folks in the Obama campaign on a daily basis. Do they think they've successfully neutralized the Jeremiah Wright controversy?
The good thing from the Obama perspective is that we're having this conversation in March. If it were in October, they would be considerably more concerned about it. Obama is trying to build a firewall, a defensive firewall right now, and they hope they've started that process this week. Katie?
All right, Dean Reynolds. Dean, thank you. Turning to the CBS Money Watch now, is it the beginning of a downward trend? For the first time in 2 weeks, oil fell below $100 a barrel today. It closed at $101.84. That's down more than $8 for the week. Gold is down as well. It closed today at $920 an ounce, down $114 from Monday's record high. And things are looking up on Wall Street. Stocks finished the holiday shortened trading week with a rally. The Dow gained 261 points today. The Nasdaq 48. And there's a new sign tonight of the impact the housing slump is having. After 2000, hundreds of thousands of Americans headed to the Sun Belt, and the housing industry there boomed. But tonight, a census report shows the migration has slowed. The nation's 5 hottest real estate markets have cooled, and in some former boom towns, the population is down, as Kelly Kobiea reports in tonight's Hitting Home.
Double sliders open up.
It's hard to imagine someone leaving this.
You're looking at some of the best views in Fort Lauderdale.
Yet for the first time since the Census Bureau started counting, the population in sunny Broward County, Florida, is falling.
I was reading the tea leaves, and so I knew that the population was going in the wrong direction and that the moving truck was heading north, not south.
This once booming community gained an average of 28,000 new residents a year from 2000 to 2006. But last year, it shrank by 13,000. And County Mayor Lois Wexler is facing a $150 million budget shortfall.
We know that we are losing revenue. The whole state is losing revenue.
Home sales in Florida peaked in 2005 at 250,000. By 2006, sales dropped to 130,000, and the number is still falling. The median price for a home is down $40,000 from the height of the boom.
People who want to buy a new home in a fast-growing part of the country find they can't get credit. The mortgage crunch has really frozen them out, I guess you could say.
Stainless steel, pretty much everything everybody's looking for nowadays.
Real estate broker Zach Finn has seen his business drop from 3 closings a day to 3 a month.
Are you optimistic, pessimistic?
I'm extremely optimistic that there's going to be that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, the way things are going, it can't go on this way forever.
As long as homeowners remain locked in, their local economy will be locked down, and it will take a lot more than a great view to open it up again. Kelly Kobiella, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale.
The top U.S. general in Iraq officially recommended today that ongoing troop withdrawals stop this summer, at least for a while. Right now, there are 155,000 troops on the ground. General Petraeus wants to reassess security once troop levels draw down to 140,000 in July. That's still 10,000 more than before the surge. Meanwhile, last November, CBS News exposed a hidden epidemic of suicide among military veterans. More than 6,000 in 2005 alone. That's about 120 veteran suicides every week. Now it turns out that even vets who get help from the VA are at risk. Our chief investigative correspondent, Armin Katayan, has this exclusive report.
Whenever you go through war, you're going to change permanently and totally for the rest of your life.
Harold Pendergrass knows firsthand the hidden wounds of war. He served 2 tours in Vietnam.
I carried a suicide note around in my pocket for years.
At 57, this former Army soldier has tried to take his own life 3 times and says he constantly wrestles with thoughts of killing himself.
I'd sat around numerous times with a 44 in my mouth, and for some reason I just couldn't pull the trigger. I don't know why.
Now CBS News has obtained never-before-seen patient data from the Department of Veterans Affairs, detailing the growing number of suicide attempts among veterans recently treated by the VA. The data reveals a marked overall increase from 462 attempts in 2000 to 790 in 2007.
This is highly statistically significant.
Dr. Bruce Levin, head of the biostatistics department at Columbia University, is one of 3 experts who analyzed the data for CBS News.
I'd characterize it as something that deserves further attention. Overall, the data suggest about a 44% increase.
According to the experts, 2 age groups stood out between 2000 and 2007. First, ages 20 to 24, those likely to have served during the Iraq-Afghan wars. Suicide attempts rose from 11 to 47. And for vets ages 55 to 59, suicide attempts jumped from 19 to 117. In both age groups, the attempted suicides grew at a rate much faster than the rest of the VA patients. In addition, this VA study, also obtained exclusively by CBS News, reveals the increasing number of veterans who recently received VA services and still succeeded in committing suicide, rising from 1,403 suicides in 2001 to 1,784 in 2005, figures the VA has never made public.
These are incredible figures.
Congressman Bob Filner is chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. He's been critical of the VA's unwillingness to provide a full accounting of veteran suicides.
Does it surprise you that a study like that even exists?
Well, given the fact that we keep asking for data and they say we don't have any, yes, it surprises me.
Does that anger you?
Oh, yeah. If we can't get correct information, we can't do our job. We can't prevent every suicide, but you can prevent a whole lot of them, and it's our duty as a nation to do that.
The VA declined to speak on camera about this story, but in an email said it takes the issue of veteran suicide very seriously and has been doing a thorough data investigation to document the number of patient suicide attempts. They insist the patient suicide rates are consistent with national trends, despite recent studies that show veteran suicide rates substantially higher than non-veterans.
Harold Pendergrass worries the VA remains ill-equipped to handle the next generation of veterans who will be fighting the horrors of war for decades to come.
If what the VA is doing is not working, then they need to change tactics. They need to listen to these guys and listen not only with their ears, but with their heart.
Armin Katay in CBS News, Washington.
A soldier currently serving on the front lines has become only the second woman since World War II to receive the Silver Star. Vice President Cheney presented the medal today to Army Specialist Monica Brown in Afghanistan. A 19-year-old battlefield medic, she risked her life to treat 5 wounded members of her unit in the middle of an insurgent attack last April. Her commanders say that without her care, 2 of the men would have died. When we come back, a new twist in a deadly construction accident here in New York. Why a city inspector is now under arrest. Here in New York today, the inspector assigned to check on a giant crane just days before it came crashing down was arrested. Investigators say he never followed up on a complaint that it was unsafe. But as Randall Pinkston tells us, it may not have mattered.
The arrest came when investigators questioning City Inspector Edward Marquette made a stunning discovery, revealed today by his superiors.
Marquette made false statements on his route sheet for March 4th, indicating that he inspected the crane, when in fact, he has admitted to DOI that he did not inspect the crane on March the 4th.
The terrifying crane collapse shocked the city, but 84-year-old Bruce Silverblatt, a retired engineer living near the construction site, wasn't surprised.
His first reactions, I told them so.
Concerned about the crane, Silverblatt called in a complaint. City Inspector Marquette was assigned to investigate, but never did. The 200-foot crane collapsed when a steel bar broke away, cutting one of the nylon ties which anchored the crane to the building. It fell over, smashing into 7 buildings and killing 7 people. But city officials say an inspection would not have prevented the accident.
The crane was on March 15th, was different than the crane was on March 4th.
Investigators say they're now reviewing all of Marquette's recent inspections. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, New York.
That is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.